A Chinese friend of mine showed me his concealed carry scalpel for self-defense. How do I convince him to carry a real knife or pepper spray or something? Seems totally impractical, dangerous, and won't look good to the jury. Jury, China, lol. No, we live in Taiwan, China. You wouldn't get it. You haven't studied the blade. Did you try to give him a decent pocket knife? Fuck that, I'm not his dad. He can buy a $25 knife on Amazon that will hold up well like a Kershaw Clash. How Chinese is he? I'm interested. Like, student from China or born in the US or what? Can he speak English or is it broken? Also, just pepper spray him in the face so he feels firsthand how effective it is. Yes, but that won't stop a mad Chinese man from attacking you with a broken bottle for money/woman issues. Saw probably around 10 bottle attacks during my month in China. Talk up how based and weapon-pilled other Asians are, like Koreans and H-Bong. Guys, how do I arm a foreign agent on US soil? Fuck off. Oh no, a foreign agent. He fucking hates China. Read the replies. They imprison his entire family over bullshit like having home churches. Joking and memes aside, show him a proper flashlight. Doesn't even need to be a giant mag light. And how much more practical it is for all forms of self-defense. Try to rob Chucky. He has your organs out and a buyer lined up on WeChat before you realize what's going on. His friend still makes fun of him for his self-defense scalpel. I remember seeing a video where they said that SDI was borderline a scam. A bunch of PDF books that cited Wikipedia articles, half of which contradicted each other, and the industry never took them seriously. But after that, what looked to me as a bombshell revelation, I saw basically no ripple effect on the GunTube ecosystem. And SDI still advertises prominently in major channels. So was it not true? Or is everyone I watch corrupt? What is it? Funding for GunTubers is too restricted. They can't afford to have morals. It's not a scam, but what SDI sells isn't really a great product/service either. Overpriced at best, and the degree you get at the end isn't worth the paper it's printed on. SDI promises distance learning courses that'll teach you the basics, and they more or less deliver on that. However, you can learn the exact same shit for free by watching some YouTube tutorials about woodworking and metalworking, as well as borrowing books skills specific to gunsmithing from your local library, or downloading old public domain gunsmithing books from PDF archives. If you've got questions that aren't in those books, there are still forums filled with old boomers that mostly know what they're talking about. As for the physical materials, the starter kit SDI sells are just basic tools available cheaper from companies like Midway USA or Brownells. If you want to get started in gunsmithing, your best option is to either become an apprentice for gunsmith, unlikely to happen unless you've got family connections, or you already have related skills like metalworking or furniture carpentry and you can show off examples of your work to display your skill level. Or attend one of the few trade schools that still offer courses in this shit. Can download all the course materials as a torrent and find out yourself. People call it a scam, but it's more like paying for a shitty product. Nobody cares about your SDI accreditation. Just like no one cares if you have a degree from Full Sail University. I'm guessing the entire SDI framework was built with the plan that they'd become something like a gatekeeper for gunsmithing jobs. But in reality, anybody autistic or interested in guns enough to enter the industry is likely already self-taught. The most scam-worthy part is they will take your whole-ass GI Bill as payment, which is far more than it's worth or what you pay normally. They will take your whole-ass GI Bill as payment. That's probably what it really exists for, to milk the GI Bill. Loads of guys are going to come out of the military, want to do stuff with guns and not really know how. And here's someone who will give you a piece of paper saying you can do guns and it doesn't even cost you anything. I'd assume most of the guys doing this probably weren't going to college anyway. Sperm Donation Institute. A bunch of PDF books that cited Wikipedia articles, half of which contradicted each other. That's basically most education. Imagine going to school for gunsmithing. Jesus. Sorry bro, I have a barrel rifling due at midnight. What could take out a Tyrannosaurus Rex with one shot? A tranquilizer gun with fast-acting neurotoxin. 700 Nitro Express. 4 to 5. We're trying to kill a T-Rex, not cause an extinction event. My Pingus Wingus, no doubt. 45-70 or 12-gauge slugs. 460 Weatherby mag. Anywhere vital it'll take a chunk out of. It'll stop a polar bear too. Realistically, most any 30 cal cartridge and above would be pretty effective in either getting it to fuck off or cause serious wounds. Any African big game calibers could probably drop it in 1 or 2 shots, especially if you hit it in the head, the chest cavity, or the pelvis. A 155mm howitzer in a direct fire roll. Could a very large male African bush elephant hold its own against a T-Rex? The dinosaur is actually heavier, but the elephant has such a neat tank build compared to the more limber bipedal frame. If the elephant can ram the Rex, he might be able to crush its ribs or topple him, and then it's stomping time. A very large bull elephant might stand a chance, but honestly my money would be on the Tyrannosaurus. Average size for adult Tyrannosaurus seem to be pretty well in excess of the average sizes of elephants. Elephant tusks aren't really in a good position for use as weapons, and an elephant would have no experience with a predator larger and stronger than it, while Tyrannosaurus habitually went after prey as large as itself. I think given some of the bite force calculations, if a Tyrannosaurus got a bite in, it would be all over. Why were muskets used late into the 1800s? I find it highly unusual that cost was the only driving force as to why muskets remained as the default active firearm given to people who served in the military. I understand, even all the way back to the Revolutionary War, there were prototypes, impractical or otherwise, that existed as proof of concept guns, but we figured this shit out as early as the 1840s. And you mean to tell me as late as 1866, this piece of shit was still being used by fucking everyone in the military? Why? After the Revolutionary War, you'd think the governments of the world would immediately put countless R&D into making guns that didn't fire like complete shit. You might be able to make a single repeating rifle, but scaling production to equip armies is an entirely different matter. Combination of a bunch of things. You see rifles, repeaters, and breech loaders all before the revolution, but they were too delicate, expensive, hard, and slow to produce to arm a whole army with. Rifles you could have made sooner, but it took longer to load each ball, so rate of fire was considered more important. By the Civil War we had mini balls, and I think some other similar ammo that soldiers hated, even though it worked better. Williams' cleaner bullet, I think, which allowed armies to shoot as fast as muskets, but shoot farther due to rifles. You then had issues of needing a self-contained cartridge, needing a primer. Rimfire was shit and weak, and black powder was corrosive and fucked up guns. During the Civil War, you had the Spencer, which was a piece of shit, and the Henry, which was fragile. Too weak to deal with charging horses like the rifled muskets could, and the Henry plant made fewer than 300 rifles per month. Also, you didn't really have a great way of making the ammo en masse. Armies literally did not want soldiers to have repeating arms up until the start of World War I. See, the fact that tons of rifles still had magazine cutoffs for single loading and the Lebel, which the French fucking entered the war with, and the Krag both had fucking terrible feeding systems that were not compatible with loading multiple rounds at once like a stripper clip or N-block. Concept is fine, but after concept comes the need for doctrine change, manufacture retooling, chemical/metallurgical advancement, and pretty much everything that comes with scale. And pre-industrial revolution, that just wasn't possible. It moved real quick once it did though. Think of it another way. We know we can make fuck you space lasers zap zap right now. We know the concept and the way to do it, but other related engineering and sciences aren't there yet. At Sig Sauer Inc. A new steering wheel would be nice. If anyone wants a P320 that randomly goes off, I know one that's up for grabs. It NDs today. Oh no, it happened again, Sigger sisters. I know it's always 2 more weeks with Sig, but I think we're really gonna see some fallout/further crash out soon. There's rumblings of them holding up 320 shipments, and don't forget about the FBI study releasing too. The big one would be the military contract getting pulled. Those losers base their entire identity on MHS. I would love to see it happen this year. P320s are already about $300 used. The internet is absolutely littered with them. Lol, Lamau. Beretta may have fixed the M9 tests, but at least the gun works. Sig thought they could do the same and cut corners, but no, they flew too close to the sun and their wings had an unexpected detachment. Sig can't keep getting away with this. How the fuck are people still defending that firearms manufacturer? Off-topic post. What blew up this time? It happened again. Rumors of shipments canceled. Another retard blew their balls off a few days ago. Oh, that's what blew up. Is there anything better as a boomstick than a shotgun with slugs? I was thinking of getting a 45-70, but now I'm thinking I can do bigger and better. I just don't know what's worth getting under $1,400. Just get a $200 Maverick 88 and call it good. You won't even feel bad dinging it up and using it like a whore. Everyone should own at least one shotgun. Minimum is a Maverick 88, 590S, Supernova, even a KSG7. You could get a 940 for that price, but you aren't swinging a 1301. You could get an A300 Patrol. You aren't getting an M3 or M4. Just get something in 30-06. $1,400. Find a Ruger M77 in a thumper caliber. Is there anything better as a boomstick than a shotgun with slugs? No. Only Zoomer faggots and other sad excuses for men that cannot run a pump will try to claim otherwise. Part of the benefit of shotguns is their versatility. If you don't want to use Foster/Deer slugs, upgrade to the big Greentext slugs. I think the Magnum Crush is on par with some African game rifles in terms of energy, diameter, way thicker, and penetration. It's a lot of mass moving very fast. Something like a Ruger Hawkeye and 416 Ruger will beat the booty cheeks out of a slug gun in all situations. If you like big booms and recoil for fun, then a 12 gauge is probably the best in terms of boom for bucks. Maverick 88 is perfectly serviceable and will eat hard recoiling loads all day long. People like to talk about the larger slug loads, but honestly, something like pick related will rock your shoulder harder. There are some other pretty good contenders though. Modern commercial dangerous game rifles have a little collector's value. And like big Magnum handguns, a lot of people buy them, shoot half a box of ammo, nope out because of the recoil. And you can buy the gun used at a discount, often with that half box of ammo thrown in. It's not hard to find a deal on a Remington 700 and 458 Win Mag. If you are a bit more patient, you might score a deal on a 460 Weatherby. Lightweight Magnum hunting rifles have infamously high recoil, but they don't really have the big boom, so nobody shoots those for fun. It's time, Kay. Give me your paradigm-shifting ideas that would revolutionize warfare if the corrupt and decadent MIC ever stopped suppressing them. Laser-guided, rocket-assisted, independently targeting 40 by 46 mm grenades capable of being launched by a standard UGBL, using drones to paint targets. Why not just bring back light mortars with the same capability? If you need a drone lasing the target, then there's no need for the weapon to be in the hands of the section grenadier. Arsenal ships are a good idea. Prove me wrong. You can't. Fuck that. Arsenal blimps. Hear me out, Anons. Nuclear powered, so damn near infinite loitering time. Nuke power means it can run multiple laser C-RAM defensive systems so missiles can't touch it. Massive missile base so it can carry anything and everything from thousands of SBDs up to the MOP. External racks to carry a squadron of loyal wingmen that can carry out CAS or more dangerous strikes. Fuck huge radar and E-length capability. Belly-mounted long-range artillery guns with AI-assisted targeting so you can blanket any infantry or armored assault. And much, much more. It's the future and you all know it. Missile carrier infantry. Basically VLS cells in a backpack that some poor saps carry. But they aren't the ones shooting them. Platoon/company level FO just clicks on targets on the map or paints them with the drone and the boxes fire independently. They are man-carried so every conceivable position can have their own missile battery. I also think a VLS cell mounted in an M113 would be cool and good. Sooner or later, we're going to have to start building man-portable anti-drone cages. It's the only way infantry will be able to survive the battlefields of the future. A militarized wage cage? The majority of manned aircraft should be retired and replaced by unmanned analogs. Exceptions would be a limited number of squadrons for use on missions where mission kills by E-War are unacceptable. For the US as an example would be the F-22s, some F-35 squadrons, the B-2s or B-21s. Intercontinental ballistic grenades. However many standard grenades a Saturn V can lift, but so heavy it's reduced to ballistic. Shotgunned over a city. Never go to war. Just launch a shitload of these. Why not those brightly colored bomblets that cluster munitions use that the children like to play with? B-1BR bomber that just spams 12 JDAMs on one target flying by really fast and cool like. How far have 3D printed firearms come? I've been out of the loop for a while. Pretty far. Damn far, although finding interesting projects can be a bit tough. By its nature, the 3D printed gun community tends to be both very niche, but also struggles to stay together as websites freak out and do mass ban waves over fears of getting accused of hosting illegal guns. But the amount of projects put there that solves problems or just comes up with cool fun things that can be made pretty easily is huge, so go digging. NB4, 3D printed guns will never take off unless thing. NB4, just learn to machine metal. Pretty far. 3D printed Gatling guns, RPGs, replica AUGs, replica M40s, P90s and 300 Blackout, STG 44s and 5.56. The big missing prize is an AA-12 or Street Sweeper, or really any sort of assault shotgun. What the fuck, FN? BFN, design short stroke piston rifle. Make bolt carrier group weigh almost as much as an AK's bolt carrier group. Make receiver into a tuning fork. Don't use the FAL's manual of arms. Overgas the rifle to an insane degree. Non-folding charging handle. Seriously, what were they smoking? You don't have to make a decent firearm when you market as well as FN did for the SCAR. The SCAR looks like it was made in someone's backyard from pieces of 10 other guns. People like to talk shit about the M7's recoil, but the fucking SCAR 17 recoils way more than an M7, and that's with the fucking OEM brake included. Is the SCAR bad now? You don't need a folding charging handle. Not even ambi. Keck. It deserved its fate. I was ambidextrous as a child, so that just seems like a skill issue to me. Design short stroke piston rifle. And their latest rifle is long stroke, Lamau. Any serious discussions about the SCAR needs to be prefaced with an understanding of where the AR was in the early 2000s. It's long seemed to me that in their attempts to countersignal the boomer Mattel plastic gun got brave GIs killed in NAM FUD bullshit, a lot of people memory hold the real issues with the M4 in its early years. These can be broken down into 4 categories. First is the barrel. The pencil barrel was overheating and sustained fire, which opens up the grouping, and at high round counts, supposedly caused cook-offs. Second is the buffer. It was too light, leading to bolt bounce and parts wear, which makes things unreliable. It also did not play well with suppressors. Third is lower. People often attribute the issues with the early M4s to the burst cam, and that is certainly a big part of it. Lastly is I think the most crucial, but because it wasn't covered by the PIP program, it's the least discussed. That's the magazine. The vast majority of issued mags were dog shit tilt my shit up senpai black follower mags, with only a drip-fed issuing of green followers. That's what SOCOM were dealing with when they started the SCAR program, and the SCAR delivered. But unfortunately it didn't do so in a vacuum, and by the time it was adopted in 2010, the PIP program was in full swing. SOCOM barrel, heavy buffer, FA trigger group, and everything from tan followers to actual P-mags were in wide issue. So the M4A1 was about as good as it is today, and the SCAR was left redundant. Doesn't use the FAL's manual of arms. Why on earth would they? They were designing it for Americans, and we never used the FAL. Heavy bolt carrier group increases reliability. Overgassing increases reliability. Now what they should have done is give the bolt a longer travel behind the magazine so it's not battering the receiver end cap. BFN. Make exactly what government customers asked for. It's really good. Huh. Interesting. BSIG. Make exactly what the government customer asked for. It's really bad. Funny how that goes sometimes. To be fair, I wouldn't really blame that on the government. A security forces desk sergeant took off his Safari Land holster, with the M18 pistol still inside, by unlocking the QLS fork and placing it on a table. The pistol went off while still in the holster, hitting the sergeant in the chest and killing him. After the incident, the commanding general of Air Force Global Strike Command ordered a pause on all use of M18 pistols. The investigation is still ongoing. Sigpocalypse. The military will pull this shit within the next few months. What should be the true replacement? Ruger? Echelon? Colt M1911? Glock? Glock could not deliver an actual modular handgun, and neither could Beretta. This is why they lost, allegedly. Both the Echelon and the new Ruger have all the requirements the military demanded. Miss me yet? Hasn't the USMC already started requiring Israeli carry for the MHS? Why haven't the other branches followed suit? It's a much cheaper solution than buying new guns. It would completely solve all these problems. And handguns don't matter anyway. The vast majority of all service pistols in history haven't been drop safe. I don't get why everyone's throwing a fit over it now. Are you too fucking retarded to read a short paragraph? It's nothing to do with drop safety. They go off sitting on tables without warning. That's how this guy got killed. Japanese Type 94. It's called the worst pistol of all time due to negligent discharges. Amerishits gawk at it and present it as proof of Japanese incompetence. 80 years later, they choose a plastic piece of shit as their most favored pistol for the army and police that goes off if you look at it the wrong way. Apologize. Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture. It just keeps getting worse. Funny side story. There was one guy at my self-defense class with a SIG P320 last weekend. When the instructors found out what gun he brought to train with, they didn't let him do drills with a magazine inside. Was funny as fuck. Oh my god, if the P320 really killed somebody, it's legit over for them. Somebody's going to get a huge lawsuit. It killed 2 people. A father named Roman Neshin, and the poor sap in the original post. That was only a matter of time. Replacing the SIG? There's a lot of good options. They could go back to Beretta with the M9A3, or they could go with a variant of the Glock 17M. What should be the true replacement? Someone should submit the Mars Automatic for a laugh. What's the best tactic to break free of a chokehold? Assume you're unarmed and you were caught completely by surprise by the attacker. Put both hands by the hand that is on the arm that keeps your throat locked. Use both hands to push it away, thus giving yourself breathing room. Granby roll. You have 7 to 10 seconds maximum of real useful action if your blood is being stopped. You need to already have your hand on a knife or gun or it's too late. This. Also chant, "The booty is mine! It belongs to me! You cannot take my booty!" Page 49 of the U.S. Army Melee Fighting Manual. It really is this simple. 0. Don't get caught, you dummy. 1. Headbutt the nose repeatedly. 2. Reach back and poke the eyes with the thumb. 3. Try to grab between his legs and give him the old dick twist. 4. Dislocate fingers. Pinky is best target. Keep pulling. 5. Momentum and forward roll to try and at least loosen the lock. 6. Turn toward him to try and relieve pressure on one jugular. 7. Kick the kneecaps. 8. Combination of all the above. You wanted a rodeo? Let's go, cowboy. Yee-haw! Stick your arm out, then turn around, and then you have a clinch takedown. Your neck is a circle. There is nothing stopping you from turning around. Just be stronger and break the hold. In the limited time you could have, maybe grab one of the assailant's fingers and break it. Alternatively, a heel kick right into the balls or a thumb in the eye. Ask nicely. If it's a 2 hands around the neck chokehold, you can attempt to control their hand by taking control of their thumbs. A rear naked, I think you're fucked unless you start gouging and stabbing. If the attacker is careless enough to have any of his skin within biting distance of your mouth, bite down and hard. The shock and pain of skin being broken is enough to allow you to break free. Threads like this tend to be pretty boring, but I get a kick out of seeing internet tough guys fantasize about how the fights they've never been in would play out. So I guess they're alright after all. Better than another Ukraine thread. You fight the hands and tuck your chin. If it's some dumbass standing rape choke, you just walk away. They aren't actually grabbing you. Or snap down on their neck and start kneeing their body. Activate suicide vest. Tuck in chin, and presuming you're not far stronger than your choker, you need to inflict enough pain for them to break the hold. Stomp on foot, dig nails in, bite down hard if able. Or grab balls and squeeze/tear as hard as you can. It's a bitch move in a gentlemanly fight, but if it's life or death, there are no bitch moves. Grab his dick and balls and squeeze hard. Urinate/vomit all over the attacker. This. Look into standing RNC choke defense in BJJ. Practice this in open mats. Basically your 2 options are 1. Some variant of breaking the hold and turning to face them. Follow up with a takedown or creating distance. 2. Throwing them over your back. What if it's a choke from the front? If they're Darth Vader choking you, it's pretty easy to break it because you'll practice breaking grips all the time in BJJ. Also, look at the standing guillotine escapes. It's interesting you ask this, OP, because I actually was in this situation 3 months ago. At a large Weatherspoons, basically where retards go to drink before going to clubs. Went downstairs to get another drink, so separated from my friends. Some rando I barely met 6 months ago from uni wants to talk to me. Someone not from either my friends or these randos comes up and grabs my neck from behind. Shittiest attempt at choke ever. You're supposed to cut off the sides of the neck and push them into the choke. He just had his forearm around the front of my neck and was pulling me, unsuccessfully. This is where I fucked up. Because this was a shitty choke, I assumed it was just a retard from the BJJ club pranking me. So I don't react other than tucking my chin down as a basic level defense. After about 5 to 10 seconds, he just lets go. I turn around and say, "Jiu-jitsu?" He ignores me and walks off. Still no idea what the fuck that was about. There was no argument/altercation leading up to this. It was entirely random. Since then, I've started carrying a cigarette lighter and practicing standing choke defenses. TLDR, I had retarded tier situational awareness. Obviously, you just stick your hand down their pants and start ferociously beating them off. It would be a good time to invest in HESCO walling and storage containers on your homestead property. They just work for fortification. If you have a family, you can easily set up a secure base. Not even 50 cal would penetrate it. To get a 500 square foot perimeter, it wouldn't even cost more than $2,500 if you have your own tractor. You'd need a tractor to fill them, and your fucking house would look like a goddamn military base. But it would be secure. Just have someone patrol at night with thermal binocs, with a ladder at each 4 corners, with a combat rifle and plenty of ammo. You could realistically get away with 3 people in the apocalypse. Is there really any reason not to do this? Even if you live somewhere green, just use green HESCOs from China. Is there really any reason not to do this? Because it's stupid. Instead of spending money on an FOB LARP that'll never be useful because you won't buy it, buy the dirt, have the 12 people it'll actually take to put on each corner for an 8-hour guard shift, the tractor, etc., invest in defensive landscaping. Makes the property look good and many won't know what it's actually for. Big rocks as anti-vehicle obstacles. Raised bed planters that could be fighting positions. Solar-powered yard light cameras. Lawn gnomes to pack full of tannerite and roofing nails. Picture this raised bed planter but waist high. No one is going to look at it and not think it's anything but a planter built so people don't have to bend down to weed and stuff. The wicker is repairable by the owner. Sandbags and stuff rot and need to be replaced. How much does a person actually think they can buy and store? But the wicker? Grows on trees, wicker gabions would be a good choice. Filled with rock and dirts to stop vehicles, and grouped as they were, provide cover to defenders. No thanks, I'd rather have IEDs buried throughout my property. These are just gabions with some type of cloth to hold in the fines. You can buy or make your own gabion for various size rocks, blocks, but some type of fabric would be needed to keep the fines from washing or blowing out. If you use HESCO in the current year, you will die. You need a well-engineered strongpoint with a proper trench system and camouflage. In 1736, Noble Jones leased 500 acres on Isle of Hope, which he dubbed Wormslow, in reference to his ancestral homeland on the Wales-England border. The possible threat from the Spanish in Florida and their Indian allies demanded that Jones construct a defensible home. With the help of his servants and Marines, Jones completed construction of his fortified house by 1745. Visitor William Kimber described it in 1744. Wormslow is one of the most agreeable spots I ever saw, and the improvements of that ingenious man are very extraordinary. He commands a company of Marines, who are quartered in huts near his house, which is also a tolerable, defensible place with small arms. Some inspiration from the colonial era. The walls were made of tabby, a primitive concrete made of oyster shells. I like the shape of the walls, which reminds me of star forts, and the firing ports. Obviously this should be modernized, but the inclusion of firing ports in walls might be a good idea. Well guys, it finally happened. I was sitting on my couch, balls out after work, and put on Red vs. Blue as I'm re-watching it currently. Had a drink, grabbed my holster to unload my P320, and it just went off in my lap. I didn't even touch the trigger at all. Luckily it only grazed me, so I didn't go to the hospital. This happened last week. Should I sell my SIG and get a Glock? Walk it off. Today, the hole is mostly healed up, but it hurts when I walk and the scab sticks to my jeans. For those who can't see, because all of you can't see because I censored it, there's yellowing around it and I think it's getting infected. Just happens to occur now, huh? Get shot, don't go to the hospital. Retard. A reverse image search doesn't give me a match. LMAO, is OP for real and not a shitpost? If so, then I think maybe the SIG problem is understated, if anything. That's because you weren't sitting crisscross applesauce, you dingus. Get shot, don't go to hospital. Post photo on 4chan. Definitely get a Glock instead of that piece of shit. Just picked up a new 10mm. Debating whether to fully dress it up with a dot or just throw a laser on it and maybe some night sights. Serves you right, honestly. You knew the problems with the gun and still carried it. Should I sell my SIG? Who's gonna wanna buy it? Go to the fucking hospital, you retard. No. Put me in the screen cap. Gaston was right, by the way. From SIG USA, everyone ITT is getting a defamation lawsuit. Our guns don't shoot by themselves. Period. The end. The OP must have fucked up somehow. Skill issue. That's not a graze, you fucking idiot. Go to the hospital before it gets fucking infected and you die. That's not a minor amount of blood, retard. There's a full-on bullet hole. How the hell have you managed to live this long? I think it's healing okay. I'm not worried about it. In No Country for Old Men, the guy took a bath after getting shot in the leg, so that's what I did. Been taking baths every day to wash it out. I think the yellow stuff on the edge is normal. It was a 9mm jacketed hollow point, and after it went through my leg, it went through my couch and onto my floor. I'm glad it didn't expand like a hollow point, because that would have been dangerous. Because getting shot wasn't dangerous. I was joking about getting a Glock. I think I'm gonna keep the SIG because it has a cool story behind it now, lol. Are you genuinely telling me that the greatest military power of all time with the biggest budget of all time still hasn't come up with a new heavy machine gun design after nearly 100 years? Machine is fine. Yes, problem stays solved in America. Not at that scale and anywhere that would matter. Go ahead and give me a better alternative. What exactly needs to be changed? The strength of steel and the human body has not improved much in the last 100 years. The M2HB is a magical machine. When you point it at go-fuckers, they magically speak English. It's almost biblical. Why would you want to change that? We haven't come up with new military-issue muskets either, or sailing Navy ships. It just works. No need. Firearms have been refined over many centuries. AR-15 is only 23 years newer. 1911 is 22 years older. Both still work perfectly well in their roles. Glocks will probably be roughly the same in 2072. Who has the copy pasta of M2s in service during the future wars on Mars? 2066, stationed on Mars to quell a rebellion. Become side door gunner for atmospheric dropship. No miniguns or Gatling cannons, just some metal brick with a pipe on the end. Get sent in to extract some wounded. Reach the evac zone and come under attack. Horde of rebels charging in with their new plasma guns and compact rocket launchers. Let loose a stream of bullets. The sound of the rebels' screams are nearly drowned out by the heavy ka-chunk, chunk, 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 chunk of the machine gun. The wounded are loaded up and returned to base. Inspect MG afterwards. Thing was made in 1942. Tunisia, Italy, and Germany are scratched onto the gun. Scratch Olympus Mons on with knife. What's your call sign? Mine's Nightmare, because even in their dreams, my enemies fear me. Shameful Patchwall. Avalanche, because I slid halfway down a goddamn mountain like a retard and almost died. More like Nightmare. You're rolling the barracks. My call sign is Wedge, because I'm the simplest tool. Pant Shitter 01. Penis Weenus, of course. Mine is Trip Shill, because I'm on ARG posting links to his streams. Shart and then Sharter. I tried to fart but shit my pants on 2 separate occasions. Narco. Kept falling asleep in tech school classes despite drinking 2 bangs in a single afternoon. Made the people teaching the classes concerned. Big Retard. Because I'm fat and retarded. Donkey Jaw. Okay, ass mouth. McLovin. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it's what it would be. Your call sign should be Spaz or Sped. Or maybe Loser if you're going to be here and don't be a total cringe lord. If you're going to LARP, at least play a better game series. The is Insurgency Armed Squad. Call of Duty? Lost the plot after Black Ops 2. Your call sign is now Spurg, since you can't tell irony from authentic cringe. Bambi, I've hit no less than 5 deer in my car. Ponyboy, because I bleached my hair one fucking time and nobody let me forget. Stay gold, Ponyboy. Mine is Rapido, because I coom fast and have no refractory period. Headhunter, because I'm always looking for a dick to suck. Washing machine, because I like making those colors run. Doughboy, because I love yummy puff pastries. Iceman, only 1 out of 50 participants who got frostbite. Navy SEAL, because what the fuck did you just say about me? Shockmaster, because of my electric jizz.
That people like me go crazy over things you do. Wow. No money for Raven, sweet angel child. It's just a habit I've got.